Alright, and up here in the top right-hand corner of Crossfire is our Terran player from the Team OGS. It is SuperNova. And down here in the bottom left, his teammate, who is one game behind. Everything's on the line. He's finally made it back into the GSL. This is his shot, and he's on the verge of losing it. It is OGS VINES. This is the map Crossfire, and we see a lot of interesting play on this map. I'm curious to see what's going to happen here. And that last game, I want to point out again something that I mentioned in the beginning. You know, SuperNova, he faked like he was going to go 1 Rax expand, and VINES just was not prepared for those Banshees. Now, of course, that didn't actually end up being too big of a deal. He had Stalkers out and he had Observers out, so he actually dealt with those Banshees very, very well for not having known they were coming. Well, he had an Observer out on the map, but he had to make another one and wait for that, and he did lose about 10 probes to that first Banshee before he was able to get a second Observer out and deal with it. But also, I mean, SuperNova, you got to hand it to him. He did some excellent harassment. He killed off lots of probes. He would attack back and forth to the expansion of the main base, and he didn't actually lose those Banshees. He may have lost them later on in the game, but he didn't lose those Banshees, so when there's battles going on in the middle of the map, he was able to just bring in those Banshees and get more free kills if VINES wasn't paying attention. And SuperNova, with really good multitasking, was paying attention to those Banshees. Sometimes players will just, in the middle of the battle, they won't have time, and they'll just A-move that Banshee back to the mineral line to try and get some free kills out of it, and they'll just sacrifice the Banshee. They'll forget about it, but SuperNova even was paying attention to those Banshees when he sent them back in, and was able to pull them back when the Stalkers were there to counterattack them. So very nicely played by SuperNova. Very early gas here by SuperNova, by the way. Well, not very early, but I mean it's oh, actually, this is tricky. He's showing the gas, and the gas is only for a tech lab. So SuperNova, well, actually, he can't be sure exactly what this is for, but point being, he does not know about that second barracks, which is going to start producing Marines, and I'm curious what he's going to do with this tech lab. It's going to be interesting. Warp Gate research is on the way, but oh goodness, he is going to make a Stalker. What is he going to do after that? Is he going to make more gateways? Is he going to make some tech? We do have VINES on just that one gas right now. SuperNova sees everything. He's got this SCV in the base. Oh, he gets a probe back in, and he does scout the second barracks. Beautiful by VINES. I'm not sure how that actually got in there. I'm sorry I missed it because I was looking at VINES' base, but SuperNova failing on the scouting denial there, and so VINES is going to know exactly what's going on, trying to hunt down that SCV. He's going to try and hold this ramp a little bit, and he needs to be a little bit prepared. He knows that this is coming. I believe he even saw the Marauder. I'm not sure if he saw it, but he saw the tech lab regardless, so he should know this is coming, and this is very dangerous to be out on the map like this. He should know that concussive shells should be done by now. It's a very, very fast upgrade. It looks like SuperNova is going to wait for another Marauder and another Marine, and he's going to try and go, or he could, now that he's been scouted, just go ahead and hold back, but he should at least put on some pressure and try to just mess with VINES' head a little bit, at least make him scared. And you know, if there's a lot of units for VINES, he can deal with it pretty well. And hold that thought, here comes in the concussive shells is upgraded, so those Stalkers cannot finish. Nice splitting by SuperNova. He's going to split his units, does not lose a single unit, only some health on that Marauder. It looks like he tried to target down the Marauder, but it didn't work. And here he comes in. He's going to pick off this pylon, but taking some hits from the top, and needs to be careful. This injured Marauder does not want to be in front. He's probably going to target down probes coming off the line, and he does target down that injured Marauder. Very nicely done, and just with a sheer Stalker count that he's able to produce now, he's going to force this back, but SuperNova forced to engage. He does target down the Stalkers. He's not microing this at all, though, and he's trying to chase down the injured Stalker. He's taking free hits. Beautifully done by VINES. Wow, that was actually really impressive. Actually, it was very impressive by VINES, and also a little bit of a mistake by SuperNova. You need to pay attention to your army when that's happening, so that if you do have units start chasing the injured unit and the other units getting free hits on them, you can pull them back and re-engage in the battle. But also, those two Marines were pretty much dead once the Marauders died, so he maybe wanted to just try and get a kill out of it at least. Sacrifice his units there. So SuperNova with a little bit of a pressure build, failing at doing any damage. In fact, taking a lot of damage. He now is at a supply deficit. 3 gateways there. Oh, look at that. We just saw 2 probes queued up on VINES' Nexus. Although he doesn't really have a ton to produce right now, regardless. But anyway, VINES is going in and expanding off of this afterwards. And what is SuperNova up to? He is actually teching. He is not going to try and expand off this. He's going to try and go for an attack. And he is producing siege tanks along with that starport. We could see him just go all in here, basically, off of one base and try and kill VINES with just a large push of a lot of units before VINES' production can really get into full swing. VINES still only has 3 gateways and this robotics facility only, so he is making a Twilight Council, but he is not going to have a ton of stuff to deal with a push from SuperNova. He's only producing off of 3 gateways here. He is warping in some sentries. He's going to have a few sentries at least, so he'll have a few units to support units. There we go, 3 more gateways going down for VINES. That is exactly what he needs. But is this attack going to arrive before? Actually, it looks like he's not. Well, let's see. He does made a medevac and is not producing another one. He's going to go ahead and do a drop. Now, I believe, yeah, Stim is not yet completed. Stim is not yet even started. He actually moved the tech lab over that factory, so he's not going to try for Stim at all here. This is just going to be a sheer marine attack. The Observer flies in here. The Observer sees the SCVs coming off the line. He knows it is now or never. And here VINES is bringing him some units out. He wants to engage early, delay this force as long as possible by taking pot shots, forcing him to siege and unsiege if possible. He's taking some free shots, and look at that force fielding, that little gap, forcing SuperNova to go around the side. Or, you know, that would be a lot better place for him to fight, would be in this open area. So if he can force SuperNova there, that would be even better. Here's the SCVs and Marines coming over here. He's got a single sentry here. He's got 2 more force fields on it, so he's going to be able to keep that army back. But, oh, that force field was a little bit off position. He might be able to sneak up the side. They did. Fail force field by VINES is going to let these units get in here. Can the tank get through? No, the tank cannot get through, so he can't quite siege up yet. There's that drop arriving. I'm sorry I missed that. On the side there, and it's forced back very quickly. It's just did a little bit of damage, but took some damage as well. Now VINES is in real trouble here. Bunkers going down. Siege tanks are within range that they can hit that mineral. No, barely can't hit that mineral line, but okay, this next siege tank is going to be able to hit these probes. Maybe, nope, not quite. But if he leapfrogs a little bit forward, I do not know what VINES can do about this. He's getting out some Immortals, and those bunkers are almost finished. He's trying to go in before the bunkers finish. It's now or never, do or die for VINES. This is the last game for him. If he loses it, he's out of the tournament. And those Marines are just doing so much damage, killing off everything. The siege tanks in the back as well. And GG coming from OGS VINES, taken out by his teammate and opponent OGS SuperNova. SuperNova will be advancing to the next round of Code A in his attempt to get back into Code S tournament where he probably feels he belongs. He's been there for a while. So that's going to do it for the first match. SuperNova besting VINES in a best of 3, 2-0, and looking pretty dominant in it as well. You know, VINES, like I said, he hasn't really done anything since Season 3. He's lost to Sen. Since then, he hasn't really done anything at all. He hasn't been in the GSL. He hasn't done very well in other tournaments. So I was thinking, all right, well, you know what? He got into Code A. Maybe at this point, he has improved his skills. Maybe he's got a lot to show us. Sometimes players that don't do well in earlier seasons come back and do extremely well later on. You know, Juke2, for instance, is now doing very well in Code S. But that was not the case. VINES showing that he has not picked up his skills a ton and loses to SuperNova. So that is going to do it for match number 1. Speaking of Juke2, actually I wasn't thinking of Juke2, I was thinking of Jockji. I got them confused. Juke2 is not doing well, my bad. But sometimes you do have players that don't do well and they come back and do well later on. But Juke2 is going to be in our next match. Sorry for the verbal typo there, I guess. He's going to be playing against MVP Monster, who is a very, very strong Zerg player. I'm really looking forward to seeing more out of Monster. So come back in just a few minutes, and we'll have some more GSL Code A action for you.
We're the saints of degeneration. We don't